A woman walks into a local credit union where she wants to make a banking transaction. She walks up to the teller line where she pulls out a check and says, "I want to deposit the check." With a smile, she says, "God has answered my prayers." As soon as she hands the check over to the teller, immediately warning signs go off in her head that the check is counterfeit. So the teller has to break the bad news to the lady that the check is no good. I am the teller that had to tell the lady that this check was fraudulent. And unfortunately, this happens quite often at our credit union because of the downfall of the economy. We see a lot of counterfeit checks going on because of that. Today, I will be informing you about how to catch a fraudulent check. And here are some statistics regarding the increase of fraudulent activity in the U.S. 75% of commercial banks accrued check fraud losses. In 2003, a total of attempted check fraud against commercial banks was the amount of $5.5 billion. Each day, according to the American Bankers Association, $175,000 worth of fraudulent checks are presented each day. And the actual bank loss is approximately $700 million. Alright, today I'm going to be informing you of how to catch a counterfeit check. And first I'm going to tell you about some of the scams that are out there. And then I'm going to show you ways to prevent yourself from becoming a victim of fraud. First, we're going to take a look at just 3 of the scams that are out there today. And the majority of scams that are out there are either via the internet or email. The first scam that we're going to talk about is the check overpayment scam. And according to the FTC, the check overpayment scam begins with the scam artist replying to an ad, normally over eBay or Craigslist, and they are posing an offer to purchase the item for sale. The scammer will then say he wants to write a check for over the amount of the purchased item. So once the check is sent to the consumer, the scammer will then make up a reason for why he wrote the check over the amount, and he'll say, well, first let's just deposit the check, and then you can wire me the remaining funds back. And after that's done, the check comes back counterfeit, and the consumer is left to pay all that money back to the bank. The second scam that we're going to take a look at is the secret shopper scam. And we see this a lot coming into the credit union. It normally starts off with a person looking for work. You normally see the ad. It'll normally say, easy pay, make your own hours, be your own boss. It'll normally start out something like that. And once they fill out the application for the secret shopper, we normally mailed a training packet. And in the packet, there's instructions about how you're to purchase different items, and you're going to be compensated for the items that you purchase. And along with the training packet comes a check. And that should be the first warning sign, because if you haven't done any work, why are you receiving a check? So then they are asked to cash the check posing as a customer, and then they're supposed to wire some of that money back. And of course, you know, if the check is not caught by the teller, it goes into the bank, and it's then posed as a fraudulent check. The third scam that we're going to look at is the lottery scam. And we also see this a lot in our credit union today. It'll normally start off as you getting a letter or an email saying that you've won a Nigerian, Canadian, or even Australian lottery. And the check will normally range in the amount of like $2,000 to $5,000, and you're instructed to cash or deposit the check. And in order to receive your full funds, you have to wire some of that money back, and then you will receive your full amount of your winnings. And of course, then once you deposit the check, it comes back. The account's closed, or the account is not even good. So those are just a few of the scams that are out there today. Now that we've looked at some of the scams, we're going to talk about ways to prevent yourself from becoming a victim of fraud before it's too late. And here are some of these warning signs. Where is the check coming from? Is it coming from overseas? Is there a number attached to the check? Normally, if there's no number attached to the check, or it's out of the U.S. or out of the United States number, it's normally not a legit company. It's normally a fraudulent company. Were you expecting a check? And this is normally one of the questions that we ask when we suspect the check is counterfeit. We normally will ask them, are they expecting the check at all? And if not, then the check is probably counterfeit, because no one sends a check just out of the blue. Another warning sign to look for is, do they want you to send or wire back money? No legitimate company is going to want you to send back money if they sent you a check for a lottery or if you're doing work for them. They're not going to want you to wire money back. If you receive the check, how does the check look? And here are some of the checks that I have pictures of. And this check is from the Rocky Mountain Credit Union. And as you can see, it's got different fonts on the check. See right here, I'll pass that around. And if you were to see the actual check, normally what we look for is perforated lines. We always rub the edge of the checks to see if they're perforated or not. And if not, if it looks like it's just been printed out, it's normally counterfeit. And you can also see the background too. It just doesn't look right. It looks like it's been bleached on. I'll pass that on for you guys. Another scam that we see is this is the lottery scam. The lottery scam. And here's the letter attached, and it's also a check attached. And you see that it says it is a North American sweepstakes, but as you see in the corner, there's an international claims department out of Newfoundland. It doesn't make sense, because if this is an American sweepstakes, then why is this out of Newfoundland? And then also there's an out of state or out of the U.S. number attached to it, which it doesn't go with it being an American sweepstakes. So you can take a look at that and see how they look, and the different fonts that are attached to it as well. Alright, as we conclude, we've looked at some of the scams that are out there that are flooding the nation right now, such as the overpayment, the lottery, and the secret shopper scams. These are only a few, but these are probably the three main ones that we see at our credit union. We also took a look at some of the ways to protect yourself from becoming a victim of fraud. The number one thing to remember, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Use common sense is the number one thing that I tell people. Finally, if you have a gut feeling that something's not right, don't ignore it. Go to your financial institution if you do get a check like that. Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can call the Check Fraud Center number, and that is 843-571-2143. Thank you for your time, and have a blessed day.